Hello, Chosen One. The darkness has been pressing hard this week because it sees what you can't see yet, the door that's about to open. I know exactly how suffocating and entirely confusing it has felt. You have been waking up with an unexplainable heaviness in your chest, a bizarre exhaustion deep within your bones, and a mind that feels like it is attempting to walk through wet cement. You have looked at the absolute chaos erupting around you, the sudden betrayals, the bizarre and unexplainable friction in your daily life, the people suddenly exposing their true motives, and the highly performative individuals who are inexplicably mimicking your every move while secretly plotting your downfall. You have been tempted to look at this barrage of spiritual and psychological warfare as a sign that you are failing, that you have taken a wrong turn, or that the divine has abandoned you in the wilderness. But I need you to hear the absolute unvarnished truth right now. The enemy is not attacking you because you did something wrong or because you have lost your way. The enemy is launching an all-out, frantic, uncoordinated assault on your life entirely because of what is coming. You must transform this current pain into the exact evidence of your imminent breakthrough. The sheer, terrifying intensity of the attack you are facing right now is the undeniable, concrete proof of your promotion. The spiritual realm is throwing everything it has at you because you are standing on the very threshold of a massive paradigm-shifting elevation that will alter your bloodline forever. The entities operating through the insecure, toxic people around you are in a state of absolute panic because they realize your season of hidden preparation is officially over. And I am declaring this to you with absolute certainty. This struggle is ending today. It is ending within the next 24 hours. By the time this message concludes, the spiritual architecture around you will have irrevocably shifted. It is ending entirely because of the grueling, unseen, agonizing internal work you have relentlessly done in the dark. You have passed the test. The opposition is merely the desperate noise of the old reality breaking apart to make room for your new, undeniable authority. I'm Brian. For decades, I've been writing spiritual content and helping people to achieve real awakening, guiding individuals through the brutal, beautiful, and deeply misunderstood landscape of genuine spiritual transformation and psychological liberation. The premise of what is happening in your reality right now is both profoundly complex and startlingly simple once you understand the laws of the unseen realm. The people around you, the insecure imitators, the covert narcissists, the toxic competitors, are currently exposing themselves because the rising frequency of your authentic alignment is violently forcing their counterfeit realities to the surface. They observed your life, coveted your light, and attempted to steal your gifts. They thought your anointing was a cheap costume they could simply wear. But God, in His infinite and terrifying justice, did not give them your gifts. He gave them your pain as a divine test. They reached out to steal your crown and were immediately crushed under the weight of your cross. Before we break down the spectacular psychological meltdown of your enemies and explore the 7 distinct steps of this dynamic, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button to align your energy with this frequency, drop a comment with what point hit you the absolute hardest, and share this video with another chosen one who is currently surviving the trenches. Step 1. Dismantle the pedestal you built for their potential. There is a deeply uncomfortable psychological and spiritual reality that you must fundamentally integrate into your understanding of the people who have tried to usurp your position. As a chosen one, your default operating system is one of hyper-empathy. You look at the highly performative, deeply insecure individuals in your life, and because you possess a massive reservoir of compassion, you instinctively project your own emotional depth onto their terrifyingly shallow waters. You assume that their toxic behavior, their chaotic attempts to mimic your essence, or their subtle backhanded compliments stem from a place of unhealed trauma that they actively wish to resolve. You construct a massive, elaborate psychological pedestal, and you place their entirely hypothetical, non-existent potential right at the top of it. You must completely and violently dismantle this generous but profoundly dangerous assumption today. They did not target you because they wanted to learn from your wisdom. They targeted you because their internal landscape is an echoing, barren void, and they desperately needed to siphon your life force to sustain their own performative facade. They looked at the divine favor resting on your life, the way people naturally gravitate toward your authentic peace, the unforced magnetism of your presence, and they made a fatal miscalculation. They believed that your anointing was merely an aesthetic choice, a collection of behaviors, catchphrases, and stylistic decisions that they could simply copy and paste onto their own completely unanchored souls. The absolute glaring contrast between your authentic alignment and their performative facade is the defining conflict of this entire spiritual dynamic. You are operating from a place of deep, foundational integration. Your spiritual architecture was not handed to you on a silver platter. It was painfully forged in the absolute excruciating fires of trauma, isolation, betrayal, and relentless shadow work. When you speak, your words carry a heavy, undeniable weight because they are backed by the staggering collateral of your lived agony. You possess the spiritual receipts of your survival, and that creates an atmospheric gravity around you. The imitator, however, operates on a frequency of pure, unadulterated static. They have built an entire existence out of painted cardboard and cheap stage props. They memorize your lines, they steal your ideas, and they attempt to mirror your frequency. But when they step onto the stage of real life, their performance completely falls flat. It hits the ground with a dull, lifeless thud, because there is absolutely no internal generator powering their lights. They are attempting to project a movie without a projector, relying entirely on the ambient light of your existence to illuminate their empty screen. If we delve directly into the deep psychology of why this hater or imitator is currently frantic and quietly melting down behind closed doors, we find a creature trapped in a terrifying prison of their own making. They successfully executed their manipulative plan to steal your blueprint. They forcefully inserted themselves into the spaces, relationships, or opportunities that you naturally cultivated. They put on the heavy, intricate coat of your calling, fully expecting to receive the applause, the peace, and the divine favor that you command so effortlessly. But instead of inheriting your peace, they suddenly inherited the crushing, suffocating weight of the spiritual warfare that comes permanently attached to your specific destiny. They are frantically trying to figure out why the formula is failing them, why the magic trick isn't working, and why they feel so unbelievably exhausted all the time. They rely entirely on a script that you have already stopped following. Because they have no original thoughts, they are perpetually lagging behind your evolution. They are melting down because they realize that your light is not something you do, it is something you are. And they are fundamentally, biologically, and spiritually incapable of being it. Their fear of your light is not just jealousy, it is an existential terror that their entire persona is going to be exposed as a fraud. Consider the highly descriptive metaphor of a frantic child trying to catch roaring lightning in a cheap plastic cup. The lightning represents the raw, untamed, magnificent essence of your divine calling. It is pure electricity, it is unquenchable fire, and it is fundamentally lethal to the uninitiated. The imitator sees the bright, glorious flash of your life and decides they want to capture it, own it, and put it on display on their mantelpiece to impress their shallow peers. They run out into the raging storm with their flimsy plastic cup, fully expecting to contain the wrath and the glory of the heavens. When the lightning inevitably strikes, it does not politely sit inside the cup. It instantaneously melts the plastic, severely scorches the hand that holds it, and violently grounds itself. The imitator is left standing there in the pouring rain, holding a melted, toxic piece of plastic, severely burned, and yet they are still desperately pretending they are a master of the storm. They smile through the agonizing pain, telling everyone they have successfully harnessed the power of the sky, while frantically trying to hide the third-degree spiritual burns they sustained in their foolish, arrogant process. This is exactly why their attempt to compete with your divine calling is so inherently goofy and profoundly tragic. You simply cannot contain a divine mandate in a vessel of unhealed human ego. When they stole your mantle, God did not intervene to stop them because the universe knew that the mantle itself was the ultimate punishment. The divine allowed them to step onto the stage because it wanted them to feel the unbearable, spine-crushing pressure of a spiritual reality they were never authorized to occupy. They are currently suffocating under the demands of the spiritual environment you survive in every single day. They invoked the heavy demons you have already learned how to defeat, but they completely lack the spiritual authority to command those demons to leave. They are waking up every morning in a state of cold sweat panic, desperately trying to maintain the illusion that they are thriving, while their internal world is being violently torn apart by the forces they foolishly invited in. Your strict, unyielding role in this step is to completely relinquish the illusion that you share the same spiritual anatomy. You must step back, fold your arms, and observe this catastrophic failure without lifting a single finger to interfere or assist. Do not waste your precious, upgraded energy feeling betrayed by their theft. The pain they are experiencing right now is the highly surgical, meticulously precise discipline of the divine. They did not successfully steal your destiny. They simply volunteered to take your beating. They volunteered to step into the fiery furnace that was meant to refine your solid gold, but because they are made of cheap synthetic plastic, the fire is simply incinerating their entire facade. Wash your hands of the agonizing need to explain your worth or defend your rightful position to them. The spiritual laws of gravity are already executing their flawless, terrifying work, dragging the counterfeit down into the absolute irrelevance of their own hollow existence. Step 2. Recognize the catastrophic weight of the counterfeit exchange. Once the pedestal is violently shattered and you see them for what they truly are, you must elevate your awareness to comprehend the second phase of this spiritual dynamic. Recognizing the catastrophic, bone-crushing weight of the counterfeit exchange they initiated. In the unseen realm, transactions are absolute, and they carry brutal consequences for the ignorant. When an insecure, toxic individual actively schemes to rip away a piece of your life, whether it is a creative vision, a professional position, a romantic partner, or a social standing, they act under the delusion that blessings are entirely detached from the burdens that generated them. They approach your life like a thief in a jewelry store, smashing the glass to steal the diamonds, entirely oblivious to the fact that those diamonds were formed under millions of tons of pressure in the absolute darkest depths of the earth. By forcing their synthetic presence into your organic timeline, they unknowingly signed a spiritual contract they cannot possibly fulfill. They demanded the rewards of your profound, authentic preparation, but what they actually received was the unyielding terror of unearned acquisition. The contrast between your preparation and their entitlement is the exact reason they are failing so spectacularly right now. You are built for the heavy lifting. You spent agonizing years in the wilderness of obscurity, where your ego was systematically broken down, starved, and pulverized by the Creator. You were humbled until there was nothing left but absolute reliance on the divine. You developed massive, dense spiritual musculature. When you walk into a room holding your calling, you do not stumble because you have been practicing the posture in the dark for a decade. The imitator, conversely, bypassed the gym entirely. They sneaked in the back door, injected themselves with synthetic confidence, and tried to deadlift 1,000 pounds of spiritual authority. Their ego demanded the spotlight, but their character was entirely too frail to support the beam. Right now, you are watching their spine violently snap under the pressure. The burden of authentic preparation ensures survival. The entitlement of unearned acquisition guarantees a spectacular public destruction. Let us meticulously analyze the deep psychology of their current panic. They are experiencing the horrific realization that the mantle they stole is entirely too heavy to carry. Imposter syndrome is a common psychological phenomenon for many, but for the performative mimic, it is not a syndrome at all. It is an objective mathematical reality. They actually are imposters. Every single time they receive a compliment for an idea they plagiarized from you, or every time they are praised for a calm demeanor, they are desperately faking. It feels like a psychological stab wound. It reinforces the devastating truth that their genuine, unmasked self is completely inadequate and unlovable. They are trapped in a glittering, suffocating prison of their own making. They cannot admit they are drowning because that would require exposing the theft, but they cannot keep swimming because they possess zero stamina. They are quietly melting down because their fear of your light has morphed into a terrifying realization that your light is the only thing that was keeping their shadow visible. Without you to copy, they literally cease to exist in any meaningful way. To fully grasp the magnitude of their error, envision the metaphor of a foolish, arrogant thief who sneaks into a highly classified military encampment. He bypasses the real soldiers who are sleeping, covered in the dirt and grime of actual warfare, and he steals the incredibly complex, heavily armored bomb defusal suit of a master technician. The thief struts out into the middle of an active, chaotic minefield wearing this massive, highly visible suit, entirely convinced that the suit itself grants him the expertise, the courage, and the glory of the master. He loves the way the heavy armor makes him look invincible to the onlookers in the distance. But the very moment he steps onto a live explosive, the terrifying reality sets in. The suit does not magically defuse the bomb. The suit only protects the technician while he uses his decades of painstaking, nerve-wracking, agonizing training to cut the correct wires. The thief is now standing over a ticking explosive, sweating profusely, his hands shaking uncontrollably, completely trapped inside a heavy suit he barely knows how to walk in, with absolutely no idea what to do next. He wanted the glory of the uniform, but he accidentally volunteered for the terrifying, lethal reality of the job. He is locked inside a nightmare of his own arrogant creation. This is exactly why you must stop feeling threatened by their perceived success. From the outside, through the heavily filtered lens of social media or the manipulated gossip of mutual acquaintances, it might look like they are winning. It might look like the thief is having a great time walking around in your uniform, but you are not seeing the sweat pouring down their face. You are not hearing the frantic, terrified beating of their heart as they stand over a ticking time bomb they do not know how to disarm. The spiritual realm has handed them the exam that you already passed, but they do not have the answer key. They invoked the specific, highly calibrated spiritual warfare that is drawn to your anointing, and they have absolutely zero internal mechanisms to fight it. Their lives are suddenly characterized by unexplainable friction, sudden losses, and a deep, gnawing anxiety that they cannot medicate away. They are failing the ultimate test. You must simply stand back and let the catastrophic weight of the counterfeit exchange crush the false reality they constructed. Do not offer them advice. Do not try to warn them about the minefield. They maliciously chose to walk into it, entirely believing they were smarter than you and smarter than God. Their entitlement led them directly into a divine trap, and your only mandate is to remain a completely detached, unbothered observer. Recognize that every moment they spend struggling under the weight of your stolen calling is a moment you are completely free from carrying it for them. The universe has perfectly balanced the scales, transferring the heavy burden of consequence onto the shoulders of the imitator. Allow the crushing pressure of their own deceit to completely flatten their ego, knowing that divine justice is currently operating with flawless, terrifying precision. Step 3. Observe the inevitable psychological meltdown of the unanchored ego. As the unbearable weight of the stolen mantle settles upon them, you will transition into Step 3, observing the inevitable, grotesque psychological meltdown of the unanchored ego. When an individual builds their entire existence on pilfered concepts, mimicked behaviors, and a desperate need for external validation, they construct a towering psychological house of cards. The slightest breeze of genuine adversity, the smallest disruption in their supply of attention, or the sheer friction of daily reality is enough to send the entire structure tumbling down. You are about to witness, or are already witnessing, a spectacularly messy collapse. This is the precise stage where their carefully curated mask begins to violently slip in public, revealing the terrified, hollow, deeply toxic entity hiding beneath. The ego, fundamentally unanchored from any actual grounded truth, begins to violently tear itself apart in an attempt to survive the immense pressure of the spiritual vacuum it created. The contrast between how a chosen one handles severe adversity and how the counterfeit ego handles it is the ultimate revealer of character. When a crisis hits your life, your immediate, highly trained instinct is to retreat inward. You drop your anchor deep into the subterranean depths of your soul, you connect to the divine, and you rely entirely on the vast internal architecture you meticulously built through years of weeping in the dark. You know exactly how to survive in absolute obscurity, because obscurity is your native training ground. You know how to speak the rich, complex language of silence and surrender. But when a crisis hits the imitator, their reaction is entirely inverted. Because there is nothing inside them but an echoing void, their immediate instinct is to frantically scramble outward. They cannot sit in silence, because the silence screams at them. They look for external scapegoats. They throw chaotic public tantrums. They demand immediate superficial validation, and they crumble into a pathetic, highly visible heap of engineered victimhood. They seek to manipulate the crowd into feeling sorry for them, because sympathy is a cheap substitute for the genuine respect they can never earn. Let us closely examine the deep, rotting psychology of this unanchored meltdown. The imitator is experiencing the sheer, paralyzing terror of an ego that has built a magnificent kingdom on borrowed land, suddenly realizing that the landlord has returned with an eviction notice. Because they have absolutely no root system, they cannot absorb the shock of failure or rejection. When their stolen ideas inevitably flop, or when the people they manipulated start to see through the cracks in the mask, their synthetic reality shatters. They have no lines in their stolen script for a scenario where they are exposed as a fraud. This creates an agonizing loop of panic and overcompensation. To desperately hide their profound incompetence, they double down on the performance, becoming more rigid, more defensive, and wildly accusatory. They will aggressively project their own collapsing reality onto everyone else. They will call you fake. They will call you toxic. They will launch smear campaigns, accusing you of the very things they are actively doing, because they are desperately trying to offload the psychological agony of their own rotting internal state onto a convenient scapegoat. Consider the profound metaphor of a deeply insecure, arrogant man who constructs a magnificent, towering statue of himself entirely out of cheap, unsanitized mud. He paints it with a microscopically thin layer of shiny gold leaf and aggressively demands that the entire town worship it. From a distance, In the dry, forgiving heat of the sun, the statue looks like solid, impenetrable gold. It looks like a masterpiece. But then, the inevitable happens. A heavy, torrential downpour begins. While you are safely seated inside a house built of solid, tested stone, this man runs outside in an absolute screaming panic. He watches in sheer horror as the heavy rain easily washes away the thin gold paint, exposing the cheap, rotting mud beneath. As the mud gets wet, the giant statue begins to warp, lean, and slowly melt. The man is frantically trying to hold the heavy, wet mud together with his bare hands, screaming at the rain to stop, covering himself in the filthy, toxic residue of his own fake creation. He looks entirely ridiculous. He looks profoundly pathetic. He is fighting a desperate, losing battle against the natural elements, and his grand illusion is turning into a messy, intensely public humiliation. This is the exact, goofy, and unavoidable nature of their current spiritual state. They are running around in the pouring rain, desperately trying to hold together a melting statue of their own false greatness. They will begin to act in ways that completely defy logic and reason. They will rapidly latch onto new, bizarre trends, frantically trying to find a new aesthetic to hide behind, since the one they stole from you is washing away. They will urgently try to recruit flying monkeys, weak-minded people they can manipulate, into validating their crumbling reality and attacking you. They will post endless passive-aggressive content on the internet, hoping to trigger a reaction from you, because your reaction is the absolute only thing that makes them feel relevant. They are terrified of your light, because your authentic light is the blazing sun that dries up their mud and exposes the deep, structural cracks. Every single time you succeed effortlessly, you serve as an agonizing reminder of how incredibly hard they have to work just to maintain a basic level of fake existence. Your absolute, uncompromising mandate in this step is to remain a cold, clinical, detached observer of the storm. Do not, under any circumstances, step into the rain to help them hold up the melting mud. Do not grab a bucket to help them bail out the filthy water from their sinking ship. You must watch the grotesque meltdown of the counterfeit ego with the unshakable neutrality of a scientist observing a predictable chemical reaction. By utterly refusing to engage, you deny them the distraction they so desperately, ravenously crave. If you fight them, they can blame the collapse of their statue on you. They can claim you sabotaged them. But if you simply sit back, fold your arms and watch in total silence, they are violently forced to admit that their statue melted purely because it was fake. Let the natural elements do their flawless work. Let the divine discipline run its exhausting course. Your unbothered sovereign observation is the most devastating, lethal weapon against an ego that is begging to be saved from the consequences of its own lies. Step 4. Sever the phantom ties of your misplaced empathic guilt. To truly elevate past this destructive cycle and step completely into your immense promotion, you must violently execute. Step 4. Severing the phantom ties of your misplaced empathic guilt. This is perhaps the most difficult, emotionally agonizing step for a chosen one, because your ultimate superpower, your profound, expansive, bleeding heart empathy, is exactly the weapon the enemy continually uses to keep you tethered to toxic, parasitic entities. Because you have a soul that intimately understands pain, your natural, beautiful inclination is to look at the people hurting you, see the broken, terrified inner child driving their malice, and mistakenly conclude that it is your divine duty to heal them. You construct an elaborate, exhausting psychological safety net for them, endlessly excusing their disrespect, tolerating their passive-aggressive mimicry, and willingly absorbing their covert hostility because you hold the dangerous belief that your light can eventually melt their darkness. You keep throwing your sacred pearls of wisdom, your pure love, and your exclusive access to swine, hoping the swine will miraculously transform into royalty. They will not. The absolute contrast between your approach to human connection and theirs is the difference between a life-saving blood transfusion and a lethal vampire bite. When you engage with others, you are genuinely attempting to share life force. You want mutual growth, deep spiritual intimacy, authentic elevation, and a shared journey toward truth. You give freely because you are permanently connected to an infinite source. The imitator, the covert narcissist, the secret hater, engages in relationships purely for consumption. They are energetic parasites. They do not want to heal alongside you. They want to forcefully plug their jagged, rusty needles into your veins and siphon your vitality to power their own dying, performative machinery. They view your empathy not as a beautiful, sacred gift to be cherished, but as a pathetic, glaring weakness to be ruthlessly exploited. When you offer them grace after they have subtly disrespected you, they do not feel a shred of gratitude. They feel a smug, intoxicating sense of superiority, utterly convinced they have successfully outsmarted you again. We must relentlessly analyze the deep psychology of why they absolutely despise the very empathy you continually offer them. On a subconscious, deeply buried level, your empathy is profoundly insulting to their fragile, overinflated ego. When you look at them with pity, or when you gently try to guide them toward healing, you are implicitly acknowledging that they are fundamentally broken. But their entire public persona, the whole exhausting reason they are mimicking your life in the first place, is to appear entirely flawless, powerful, and completely superior to everyone around them. Your pure offer of healing is a direct, mortal threat to the illusion that they are already perfect. They absolutely do not want your help. They want your spot. They do not want you to save them. They violently want you to submit to them. By continually offering them the benefit of the doubt, you are actually triggering their deep-seated rage. They rely entirely on you reacting to their provocations. If they poke you and you respond with anger, they feel immensely powerful. But if they poke you and you respond with calm, detached, unbothered grace, their script falls completely apart and they are left drowning in their own malice. Let us use the highly descriptive, terrifying metaphor of a master architect attempting to build a beautiful, eternal sanctuary with a partner who is secretly replacing the solid steel support beams with papier-mâché painted to look exactly like steel. You are pouring your sweat, your blood, and your tears into building this dynamic, believing you are both working from the exact same structural blueprint. But you keep noticing that the massive walls are buckling, the foundation is violently cracking, and the entire structure feels dangerously unstable. Instead of investigating the materials your partner is using, you blame yourself. You work twice as hard. You try to hold up the collapsing walls with your own bare hands, holding the agonizing belief that eventually the papier-mâché will magically transmute into solid steel, simply because of the sheer force of your love. This is a terrifying, lethal delusion. The empathy trap is you holding up a collapsing building, refusing to let go and run to safety because you feel sorry for the very person who actively, maliciously sabotaged it. Dropping the building is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of sheer, unapologetic survival. You must ruthlessly dismantle this empathy trap right now, today. Sever the thick, heavy spiritual umbilical cord you attach to their potential. You are not God, and it is the height of spiritual arrogance to believe that your human love can somehow bypass their free will to remain toxic and deceitful. They have made a conscious, highly calculated choice to operate in the realm of mimicry, manipulation, and dark ego. You must respect their dark choice by permanently removing your access. Stop over-explaining your boundaries to people who are actively, maliciously trying to breach them. Stop trying to soften the blow of your absence. When you completely sever the phantom ties of empathic guilt, you force them to finally face the terrifying, suffocating vacuum of their own reality without your light artificially illuminating it for them. Do not interfere with the heavy divine discipline that is currently breaking them. Retrieve your golden energy, close the massive iron door, lock it from the inside, and let them furiously knock on a door that will never, ever open for them again. Step 5. Embrace the absolute, deafening silence of your unbothered alignment. With the empathy trap permanently destroyed, you must now deploy the most terrifying, devastating weapon in your spiritual arsenal. Step 5 involves embracing the absolute, deafening silence of your unbothered alignment. To truly master this step, you must fully comprehend the deep psychological mechanics of the people who target chosen ones. These highly performative, toxic entities operate entirely on a frantic supply and demand economy of emotional reactions. They are psychic vampires who require a constant, steady diet of your attention to survive. They fundamentally do not care if the energy you give them is positive or negative. To a starving parasite, your deep, profound love and your blazing, righteous anger taste exactly the same. It is all just caloric energy. When you try to defend your character, when you write long paragraphs explaining your perspective, when you argue, or when you express your profound betrayal, you are serving them a massive, multi-course banquet of premium spiritual calories. You are literally keeping them alive by fighting them. You must execute a tactical, permanent withdrawal of your life force. You must seal the borders of your energetic field with the cold, immovable, terrifying reality of absolute silence. The contrast here is the difference between a raging, chaotic fire and a total, inescapable vacuum. They want you to be the fire, because fire creates heat and light that they can bask in, manipulate, and use to warm their cold hands. You must become the vacuum. A vacuum extinguishes fire instantly because it contains absolutely zero oxygen. When they attempt their goofy provocations, dropping subtle hints on social media, sending flying monkeys to check on you, gossiping behind your back, or orchestrating petty drama, you give them the chilling, indifferent void. You do not block them in anger, you block them in profound boredom. You must become the spiritual equivalent of a grey rock, utterly uninteresting, completely unresponsive, and entirely devoid of the supply they so desperately, frantically crave. The psychology of the imitator goes into a state of absolute, system-wide shock when they encounter this unyielding silence. They are terrified of your silence because your silence acts as a massive, unyielding mirror. When you completely remove your reactions, your arguments, and your energy from their orbit, you instantly remove the distortion field they were hiding behind. Left with absolutely nothing but your deafening silence, they are violently forced to look at their own reflection, and they absolutely hate what they see. They need you to be angry, chaotic, or hurt, because your chaos makes their internal chaos feel normal and justified. Your quiet, unbothered, sovereign isolation proves to them that you never actually needed them, which completely shatters their grandiose delusion of immense importance. They are frantic because they finally realize the host has completely disconnected. The umbilical cord is cut, and the parasite is beginning to starve to death in real time. Imagine placing a highly toxic, performative mimic in a perfectly soundproof echo chamber where they can only hear the hollow, goofy, entirely unoriginal sound of their own fake voice bouncing off the cold titanium walls. That is exactly what your silence does to them. It amplifies their profound insecurities to an agonizing, deafening volume. They will start to frantically wonder if their attacks even worked. They will question if you are secretly plotting against them, projecting their own highly manipulative, scheming tendencies onto your absolute stillness. Your peace literally becomes their psychological torture chamber. They simply cannot comprehend how someone who has had their gifts, opportunities, or relationships tampered with can simply sit by the river, entirely undisturbed. They do not understand that you are undisturbed because you know the universe is already handling the situation with extreme, terrifying prejudice. You do not have to aggressively defend a house that God built. You must intentionally relax your nervous system, sink deeply into the luxurious, untouchable comfort of knowing that your silence is the most devastating, unanswerable response you could ever possibly give. By refusing to offer them even a single drop of your emotional energy, you are finalizing the energetic severance. You are completely unplugging them from your massive energetic grid. Let them scream into the void. Let them perform their grotesque, plagiarized theater to an entirely empty room. Embrace the profound, majestic silence of your alignment and watch as their entire performative existence slowly, agonizingly suffocates under the immense, crushing weight of your absolute irrelevance to them. You are starving the parasite out of existence simply by choosing to breathe your own air in total peace. Step 6. Anchor yourself in the sovereign, uncopyable architecture of your true essence. To permanently secure your victory and immune yourself against any future attacks, you must execute. Step 6. Anchor yourself in the sovereign, uncopyable architecture of your true essence. You have likely spent entirely too much time grieving the loss of certain friends, platforms, creative ideas, or positions, believing the painful demonic illusion that the enemy successfully took a piece of your core. You felt violated, assuming that their mimicry and their theft actually diminished your intrinsic value. This is a profound trick of the light designed to keep you mourning over an empty, shallow grave. I need you to listen to me very carefully and let this absolute truth settle deep into your bones. No one in this terrestrial realm or any spiritual dimension can steal your core. What they successfully stole was merely the dead skin you were about to shed anyway. You are a rapidly evolving, dynamic, fiercely powerful spiritual being. The traits, the relationships, and the situations they hijacked were attached to an older, entirely outdated version of you that the universe was actively trying to clear out to make room for your massive next level of expansion. The profound contrast between your earned, battle-tested wisdom and their cheap, borrowed aesthetics is the ultimate guarantor of your victory. A counterfeit sword hanging on a wall may look shiny, pristine, and entirely perfect, but the absolute moment it strikes real armor in a real, bloody battle, it shatters into 1,000 useless pieces of cheap metal because the steel was never tempered in the blazing fire. You, on the other hand, are a nicked, deeply scratched, blood-stained blade. You do not look perfect, and you absolutely do not pretend to be. You carry the heavy marks of profound betrayal. You carry the stretch marks of outgrowing environments that desperately tried to keep you small. You carry the heavy bags under your eyes from long nights spent wrestling with God in the absolute dark. The imitator looks at your beautiful scars and thinks they are a liability. They try to copy your power while frantically airbrushing out the trauma that generated it. But in the spiritual realm, unscarred flesh holds absolutely no authority. Demons do not respect pristine theory or stolen affirmations. They only respect the undeniable heavy scent of survival. Your scars are the very credentials that terrify the darkness. The deep psychology of the hater in this phase is marked by the terrifying realization that they only stole the shell, not the ghost inside the machine. They are intensely studying a script of who you used to be a year ago, taking meticulous notes on a version of you that no longer exists, while you are currently downloading the entirely new, massive operating system of who you are becoming today. Let them have the dead skin. Let them have the superficial people who were so easily manipulated into leaving your side. If a person, a position, or an opportunity could be successfully stolen from you by a low-frequency mimic, it was never divinely mandated for your permanent destiny. It was a temporary placeholder, God allowed the theft to happen specifically to purify your environment and violently remove the weak links from your chain. The universe used the malice of your enemies as a harsh but necessary broom to sweep the trash out of your massive house. The imitator is currently parading around proudly, wearing your discarded snake scales, fully and delusionally convinced that they are the actual serpent. Imagine the sheer, unadulterated foolishness of a man trying to steal a massive, mighty, rushing river by frantically scooping water into a small plastic bucket and running away into the woods. He stands in his backyard, staring at the stagnant water in his bucket, entirely baffled as to why it lacks the roaring power, the majestic force, and the life-giving energy of the river he took it from. He doesn't understand that the immense power of the river is not in the isolated water itself, but in the continuous, unstoppable flow from the eternal mountains above. You are the river. You are seamlessly connected to an infinite, unceasing source of divine energy. Let the imitators take their little plastic buckets of your mannerisms, your ideas, and your style. Let them run away thinking they have successfully stolen your power. The water in their buckets will grow stagnant, foul, and entirely useless within days, while your river will continue to flow, carve through ancient mountains, and give life to everything it touches. Your source is infinite, your essence is entirely sovereign, and your internal architecture is permanently uncopyable. You must rest in the absolute terrifying security that your essence cannot be replicated, hacked, or stolen by any force in the universe. When the mimic tries to recreate your magic, it inevitably falls flat because they lack the divine spiritual DNA required to activate it. They can steal the recipe, they can buy all the ingredients, but they will never ever be able to bake the bread, because the secret ingredient is the undeniable presence of God within your spirit. Anchor yourself in this truth, and you will never fear a thief again. Step 7. Walk unapologetically into the massive space of your imminent promotion. We have finally arrived at the absolute culmination of this entire agonizing journey, the profound crescendo of your spiritual awakening. You must now reclaim your focus, permanently turn your head away from the pathetic wreckage of the imitators, and execute Step 7. Walk unapologetically into the massive space of your imminent promotion. The enemy's orchestrated, frantic attack against you was never meant to destroy you. It was the final, brutal, meticulously designed exam administered by the universe to ensure you were genuinely ready to hold the massive weight of what is coming next. You have been severely tested on your patience, your grace, your ability to forgive the unforgivable, and most importantly, your ability to stand entirely alone in the void without breaking character. You survived the theft. You survived the brutal betrayal. You passed the agonizing test of observation without interference, and now the spiritual scales of divine justice are tipping heavily, irreversibly in your favor. The universe operates on the immutable, absolute law of compensation. When a chosen one is unjustly attacked, robbed, or undermined while maintaining their flawless alignment, the universe does not just restore what was taken, it restores it with exponential, overwhelming, terrifying interest. The contrast between your new reality and their stagnant demise is absolute. The imitator is entirely stagnant, trapped under the suffocating weight of the pain they stole from you, desperately trying to keep a sinking ship afloat while obsessively scavenging the scraps of your past chapters. But you are a living, breathing, infinite source of divine creativity. Your forward momentum is pulling you into new, unprecedented dimensions of power, influence, and peace that they cannot even conceptualize, let alone copy. The heavy, restrictive spiritual gravity that has been pulling at your ankles for months is completely lifting. You are experiencing the profound, weightless elevation of a true spiritual sovereign. You are about to step into magnificent rooms where your name has already been spoken with deep reverence by people you have not even met yet. You are about to magnetically attract massive opportunities that require zero hustling, zero manipulation, and zero convincing, because they are intrinsically locked onto your unique, purified spiritual signature. The deep psychology of the psychological kill shot you are about to deliver is rooted in your absolute irrelevance to them. The most agonizing punishment for the hater, the mimic, and the narcissist is not your revenge. It is your total, unbothered elevation. They wanted to drag you down into the mud so they could beat you with their experience in the dirt. They wanted you to become bitter, vindictive, and obsessed with them. The moment you step into your authenticated authority, you completely sever their last thread of hope. You stop looking down. You look straight ahead at the magnificent, terrifyingly beautiful horizon of your destiny, and you step forward. This absolute withdrawal of your attention forces them to live with the agonizing reality that they touched greatness, tried to steal it, failed miserably, and are now permanently condemned to watch from the cheap seats as you inherit the earth. They realize they were never the main character in your story. They were just a pop quiz you had to pass before graduation. Imagine a grand, sunlit graduation stage spanning across the horizon. The thieves, the haters, and the imitators who tried to steal your joy are currently trapped in a bleak, windowless basement directly below the stage, failing the most basic remedial tests of human decency and spiritual integrity. They are frantically cheating off one another, copying each other's wrong answers, yet still failing spectacularly. Meanwhile, you are walking across the massive, brightly lit stage, receiving the highest cosmic honors, and walking out the front doors into the infinite expanse of a reality you created with your own pure intentions and unbroken alignment. Do not look back at them. Do not lower your pristine, hard-earned vibration to gloat over their destruction or say, "I told you so." Do not waste a single second of your precious, newly upgraded energy concerning yourself with the dismal fate of people who deliberately chose to be their own destruction. You must now fully embody the absolute psychological freedom of realizing your infinite nature. Walk through the door that the darkness was frantically trying to keep you from seeing. Embrace the massive, unprecedented blessings, the aligned relationships, the financial breakthroughs, and the profound internal peace that is your absolute inheritance. Do not shrink yourself to make your haters comfortable. Do not dim your blinding light so that the people who failed God's test can feel better about their own darkness. You earned this. You paid the horrific price in the wilderness. You carried the cross, and now you get to wear the crown. Step completely into your power. Command your space. Own the massive authority that has been granted to you by the divine. Zoom out and look at the magnificent, perfectly orchestrated architecture of your journey. The betrayal, the isolation, the goofy, performative people who tried to steal your essence. None of it was a mistake, and none of it was a sign of your failure. Your authentic alignment was always the real target, and because you refused to compromise it, you have completely broken the matrix of their illusions. You do not need to plot revenge. You do not need to correct the false narratives they spin to comfort themselves in the dark. Your exponential, unbothered, staggering growth is the final, undeniable verdict. You are the chosen one, deeply rooted, highly favored, and fundamentally untouchable. If this message resonated with the absolute core of your spirit, if you felt the heavy, stagnant energy shifting while listening to these truths, then you know exactly what to do. Subscribe to the channel to remain locked into this powerful frequency. Hit the like button to signal your alignment with the truth. Drop a comment below right now and tell me exactly which of the 7 steps hit you the absolute hardest, and share this with another chosen one who is currently standing in the fire, unaware that they are completely fireproof. Stay chosen, stay blessed.